I remember a patient, John, 69 years old, who sat across from me, hands folded tightly, eyes a little distant.
Dr. Carr, he said, I don't want to be 25 again, I just want to feel like myself.
He wasn't talking about youth. He meant something deeper. The quiet confidence he used to carry, the feeling of presence in his body, the sense that when he reached for his wife's hand, something in him still responded. But somewhere along the years, it had faded. Not suddenly, not dramatically, just little by little, like a light dimming in the background. Not because of disease, not even because of age, but because something vital had been neglected. And ironically, the answer had been sitting in his own kitchen the whole time. A small, dark, wrinkled spice, no larger than a fingernail. A spice his grandfather once chewed before dinner. A spice science now confirms can help restore blood flow, awaken intimacy, improve sleep, and calm the very stress that strangles testosterone. Clove. Yes, clove. Not some exotic supplement. Not a pharmaceutical breakthrough. Just the dried flower bud of a tree, rich in a compound called eugenol, nature's own vasodilator. And the truth is, this single spice has changed the lives of more of my patients than any prescription I've written in the past decade. But here's the part no one tells you. This simple habit, when practiced daily and correctly, can awaken what you thought was lost for good. Your circulation, your clarity, your edge. That's why in this video, I'm going to walk you step by step through a method I now recommend to every man over 60 who walks into my clinic and says, I just want to feel like myself again. We'll talk about how it works, when to use it, and what to expect after 7, 14, and 30 days of use. And I promise, it won't just change how your body performs. It may change how you see yourself. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss another honest, science-backed message from Corevia Health. And if this message already speaks to you, just type 1 in the comments below. If it doesn't, type 0, because your voice helps me serve you better. Alright, let's begin. Because what's waiting ahead is not just about cloves, it's about you, reclaiming what was quietly taken. I'll never forget what John told me after his first week using the clove method. Dr. Carr, he said quietly, I woke up this morning and I felt something, a warmth, a pulse, like the lights weren't all off anymore. It wasn't dramatic, but it was real. And it started with a single natural compound, eugenol. Eugenol is found in high concentration inside cloves. When you chew even 1 or 2 of them, the oils begin to release almost instantly. That warm sensation in your mouth? That's not spice, it's medicine. Real, biological, time-tested medicine. Because as soon as eugenol touches the mucous membranes in your mouth, it starts entering the bloodstream. And what happens next is remarkable. Eugenol acts as a vasodilator, a compound that helps your blood vessels relax and expand. Not just the large ones near your heart, the small, stubborn, hair-thin vessels that feed blood to your brain and your genitals. You see, after 60, those vessels often begin to stiffen. It's subtle at first. Maybe it takes longer to feel aroused. Maybe your memory feels foggier in the afternoons. Maybe your feet are colder, your hands weaker, your sleep shallower. You don't connect the dots because no one ever told you. But circulation is the silent engine of vitality. When blood moves freely, energy returns, focus sharpens, and yes, your intimate function awakens again. That's the magic of eugenol. And unlike synthetic pills that force the body, spike blood pressure, and crash your system hours later, this spice does something different. It reminds your body what it used to do on its own. Even more powerful, eugenol stimulates the production of nitric oxide, the same compound your blood vessels release naturally when you're aroused or exercising. The very thing that keeps blood flowing smoothly and responsively. That's why in my clinic, I often see men begin with skepticism and end with surprise. Not because I've fixed them, but because their body, when given the right trigger, remembered how to function again. John put it best. It's like I'm not forcing anything. I'm just finally working with myself instead of against myself. That's what this is about. Not hacks, not tricks, not chemicals. Just the right message, delivered at the right time, through the right channel, to a body that still remembers how to thrive. In the next segment, I'll explain exactly why erections begin to weaken after 60, and how Clove doesn't just boost blood flow, but actively helps reverse the root cause behind that loss. Because once you understand why this happens, the solution will make even more sense. He came into my office gripping his hat with both hands. Late 60s. Proud eyes but tired. He didn't want testosterone shots. He wasn't asking for pills. All he wanted to know was, why is it fading? I asked him a single question. How long has it been since you felt strong? Not just in your body, but in your response. He exhaled slowly. Years, he said. What he was experiencing wasn't unusual. In fact, it's so common that many men believe it's just a natural part of aging. But here's what I told him, and what I'll tell you. Weakened erections are not just about age. They're about flow. And more importantly, that flow can return. As you reach your 60s and beyond, the smallest blood vessels in your body, the ones responsible for feeding your most sensitive organs, begin to narrow and stiffen. They lose flexibility. It's not because you've done something wrong. It's the slow effect of stress, processed food, medications, sedentary habits, and years of inflammation. And when those vessels stiffen, blood can't surge like it used to. Without that surge, there is no erection. There is no spontaneous desire. There is only quiet frustration. Now here's the part no one says aloud. This decline isn't permanent, and that's where clove becomes more than just a spice. Remember eugenol, the compound we talked about? It doesn't just dilate your blood vessels. It helps restore flexibility to the vessel walls themselves. Think of it like this. Your blood vessels are garden hoses. With age, they become rigid, like dry rubber. Clove acts like a warm flow of water, loosening them, softening them, coaxing them to move again. Several of my patients reported something powerful. Not in week 4, in week 2. They woke up with an erection. No blue pill, no external pressure, just blood flow returning, naturally. One man said to me, I didn't even realize I missed it until it came back. You see, this method doesn't add something foreign to your body. It removes what's blocking your body from doing what it's still capable of. And here's the deeper truth. Behind every physical function is a sense of confidence, control, and connection. Clove doesn't give you back just performance. It gives you back the signal that you're still fully alive. But even when blood flow improves, there's a silent killer still working against you. One most men ignore. Because it doesn't show up in the mirror. It shows up in your hormones, your nervous system, and your desire. That invisible force is stress. In the next segment, I'll explain how clove targets stress, helps calm your nerves, and why that may be the real reason your testosterone has been in freefall. I've sat across from hundreds of men in their 60s and 70s, men who did everything right. They ate clean, exercised regularly, took their vitamins, and still, they felt off. Flat energy, no edge, no fire. One by one, they'd lean forward, lower their voice, and ask me, why do I feel like I'm fading? And I'd ask them one question in return. How's your stress? That's when the silence comes. The real answers start to appear. Worries about money, aging parents, adult children, marriages that turned into quiet partnerships, and the looming fear. What if I never feel like myself again? Stress isn't just an emotional weight. It's chemical. Every time your brain senses pressure, it releases cortisol, your body's alarm hormone. And cortisol has a dark side. It shuts down testosterone production. Because in a crisis, your body isn't thinking about intimacy. It's thinking about survival. The cruel part? Today's men, especially those over 60, live in a constant state of alarm. Not panic, but a low, grinding tension. All day, every day. That tension chokes your hormones. It clogs your blood flow. It numbs your desire. But here's where clove becomes something more than a circulatory aid. It becomes a tool to reset your nervous system. See, inside each clove is a compound called beta-caryophyllene. It interacts with your body's endocannabinoid system, the same system that regulates pain, inflammation, and emotional balance. When you chew whole cloves, beta-caryophyllene binds to specific receptors in your brain, receptors that signal safety, calm, and release. Within minutes, men describe feeling a warmth in their chest, a lightness in their head, a subtle release of pressure they didn't know they were holding. Some say it feels like taking a deep breath after holding one for years. And when cortisol drops, testosterone rises. Naturally, gently, without injections, without side effects, without trying to force nature. This is why so many men feel more connected to their partners, more present in their body, and more confident in their skin. sometimes after just a week of consistent use, because calm is fertile ground for strength. But there's more. You see, stress doesn't just rob your testosterone during the day, it steals it again, at night. And that brings us to one of the most overlooked and most powerful benefits of chewing clove: restoring your sleep. Because without deep sleep, your hormones, your energy, and your erections have no chance of returning. And in the next chapter, I'll show you how clove supports deep, restorative sleep, and why that may be the final missing link in your vitality. If there's one thing I've learned over the decades, it's this. When sleep falls apart, everything else begins to unravel. You can eat perfectly, take the best supplements money can buy, work out like a man half your age. But if you're not sleeping deeply, your body never repairs. And here's what most men over 60 don't realize. Testosterone is made at night, specifically during deep, uninterrupted REM sleep. That's when your brain resets, your tissues heal, your hormones surge. But how many men over 60 are truly sleeping like that? Most of the men I meet describe something else entirely. They wake up at 2 a.m., mind racing, or fall asleep fast, only to stir again and again through the night. They rise in the morning feeling foggy, drained, and disconnected. And then they wonder, where did my energy go? Why doesn't my body respond the way it used to? The answer often is right there. Sleep has broken down, and testosterone went with it. But here's the hopeful part. The same compound in cloves that boosts blood flow, eugenol, also soothes your nervous system. And when paired with beta-caryophyllene, the clove becomes a natural sleep ally. Here's how it works. These compounds gently interact with your brain's sleep receptors, helping quiet the background noise that keeps you tossing and turning. They lower nighttime cortisol, the stress hormone that spikes in men with sleep issues. And they increase natural melatonin, without needing synthetic pills. When chewed about an hour before bed, cloves help usher the body into deeper, more stable sleep. Not just more hours, but better hours. Many men have told me something quietly powerful. I'm dreaming again. That's not just poetic, it's biological. Dreams mean REM sleep is returning, which means testosterone is too. And with that return comes something even more important: morning erections. The kind that arrive not from stimulation, but from a body that's finally remembering what it means to be alive, whole, and vital. These signs, clear sleep, mental clarity, morning strength, aren't random. They are your body's way of saying, I'm healing. And yet, many men sabotage this healing every single day, without even knowing it. Because there's one hidden threat that affects not just your blood, but your brain, your heart, and yes, your erections. And it starts in your mouth. It sounds strange at first. Even the men I work with give me that look. The one that says, Doc, my gums? What do they have to do with intimacy? But once I explain it, I see the recognition. Because suddenly, the pieces start to fit. Let me walk you through it. A man, late 60s, strong build, still walks daily, eats right, comes into my office. His complaint? Low energy, erections that are weaker, less frequent, and a sense that something inside just isn't firing the way it used to. We check his blood pressure. Fine. His testosterone isn't ideal, but not disastrous. Labs, all relatively normal. Then I ask one quiet question. How's your dental health? That's when the truth surfaces. Bleeding gums, receding gum lines, chronic bad breath he's been ignoring for years. And it's not just him. Most men over 60 never connect mouth health to sexual health. But here's the reality. Your gums are a gateway, a silent passage into your entire circulatory system. And when inflammation builds in your mouth, when bacteria sneak in through those neglected pockets, they don't stay there. They travel. They move through the bloodstream, triggering low-grade inflammation that damages the lining of blood vessels, especially the small, sensitive ones responsible for erections. Think of it this way. Your blood vessels are like garden hoses. But if bacteria and inflammation fill them with grit, pressure builds but flow gets blocked. Even if your heart is strong, even if your testosterone is decent, blood still can't reach where it needs to go. That's the silent sabotage of gum disease. And here's what the science shows. Men with moderate to severe gum disease are up to 70% more likely to experience erectile dysfunction. It's not opinion, it's not theory, it's biology. But there's good news. This is where the humble clove shows up again. not just as a circulatory hero, but as a powerful natural antiseptic. When you chew whole cloves, the oils released begin working immediately inside your mouth. They neutralize harmful bacteria, soothe inflamed tissues, and cleanse your gum line before toxins ever reach your blood. Some men even report their breath improving, their gum sensitivity easing, within just a week of using this simple habit. But even more meaningful, once the inflammation fades, your blood begins to move freely again. Not just to your brain, not just to your muscles, but to the place where strength, confidence, and connection are reborn. And when that flow returns, your vitality often follows. So yes, what's happening in your mouth could be the silent force holding back your manhood. But now you know. And now, you can do something about it. Still, you might be wondering, how long does it take? How will I know it's working? Let's talk about that in the next section. Because the changes don't come all at once. But if you stay consistent, they come. I'll never forget Henry. A man in his late 60s. Quiet, thoughtful, carrying a weight he didn't speak out loud. He came to me not looking for miracles. Just honesty. His words were simple. I don't feel like myself anymore, Dr. Carr. I just want to feel something again. I introduced him to the Clove method, not as a fix, but as an invitation. And I asked only one thing. Give it 30 days, just that. Here's what happened. Day 1 to 7. Subtle awakenings. By the end of the first week, Henry called me. His voice sounded lighter. Doc, I don't know how to describe it. I feel awake. My mornings aren't as foggy. I slept deeper last night than I have in months. That's how it begins for most men. The body starts to stir, not with fireworks, but with flickers. You may feel a warm pulse through your body after chewing cloves. Your thoughts feel a little sharper. You might take deeper breaths without realizing it. Even a short walk feels smoother. Sleep, too, begins to shift. You drift off easier, wake up fewer times, and perhaps, just perhaps, you notice a familiar morning sensation you haven't felt in years. These are not fantasies. They're signs that circulation is returning, that your nervous system is starting to trust you again. Day 8 to 14, signs of return. By the second week, Henry had a different energy. He was smiling more, standing straighter. He said something that stayed with me. It's like I'm remembering how it feels to be a man again. That's when things accelerate. The blood flow improves. Your sleep deepens. Your testosterone begins to whisper, then speak, then call you forward. Men report a stronger sense of presence, both with themselves and their partners. Focus sharpens. Energy builds. And often, morning erections, once gone, start to return, unforced, unannounced. It's not about performance. It's about feeling alive again in your own skin. Day 15 to 30, transformation begins. By week 3, Henry's wife came with him to the follow-up. She didn't say much, just looked at him, then at me, and nodded. That's when I knew. Because by day 30, the change isn't just physical. It's emotional, it's relational, it's internal alignment. Men tell me they feel more confident in their skin, more intimate with their partners, more willing to move, walk, lift, laugh, more connected to their purpose. It's not about perfection. It's not about reclaiming youth. It's about reclaiming something far more important, your presence. That's the power of consistency. That's what chewing 2 simple cloves a day can begin. Not because cloves are magic, but because your body is. And now that you know what's possible in 30 days, how do you protect it? How do you preserve what's been restored? That's what we'll cover next. Remember, this video is for informational and educational purposes only. The experiences, reflections, and insights shared are drawn from decades of clinical observation and are intended to encourage open dialogue around healthy aging. The content should not be interpreted as medical advice or a substitute for consultation with a licensed healthcare provider. Every individual's body and circumstances are unique. Always speak with your doctor before making changes to your lifestyle, health practices, or personal wellness routines. The stories and examples presented are illustrative and do not reference specific patients. I've walked this road with many men. Some strong, some broken, most somewhere in between. Men like Henry, who found his way back after believing the door was closed. Men like Robert, who said nothing at first, but weeks later cried in my office when he realized he could still feel love again. Not just give it. Not just perform, but feel it. And now that you've started to wake that part of yourself too, the question becomes, how do you keep it alive? Because strength, real strength, isn't a moment, it's a rhythm. And like any rhythm, it must be nurtured. 1. Keep the ritual sacred. Chewing cloves every day isn't just about blood flow. It's a signal to your nervous system, your hormones, your spirit. I'm still here, I'm still choosing to live. Keep the ritual simple but intentional. Same time each day if you can. Mornings to energize, evenings to relax. Before intimacy to reconnect. Treat it like brushing your teeth, like praying, like something sacred. 2. Guard your sleep. You want to keep your testosterone flowing, your desire intact, your strength steady? Then guard your sleep like your life depends on it. Because it does. Turn off the screen an hour early. Breathe deeply before bed. Let your mind empty. Let your body rest. It's not laziness, it's restoration. 3. Move your body. Gently, but daily. No need for marathons, no gym memberships required. Just walk, stretch, breathe fresh air. Let your legs carry your heart forward. Your blood listens. Your joints awaken. Your confidence returns with every step. 4. Touch matters, even if it's just your own hand on your chest. We are not machines. We're made of flesh, emotion, memory. And touch, real intentional touch, reminds the body, you are safe, you are worthy, you are still alive. Hold your partner's hand. Hug longer. Rest your own hand on your chest for a moment each morning. This matters more than you know. 5. Speak kindly to yourself. So many older men carry shame for what they lost, for what they couldn't fix, for how their bodies have changed. But here's the truth. A man's worth is not in his hardness, but in his heart. You are not broken. You are becoming. Speak kindly. You've earned it. And finally, keep listening to what your body tells you. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it aches. Sometimes it stirs in the night, asking to be known again. Don't ignore it. Chewing cloves isn't the end of the road. It's the beginning of returning to yourself, fully, honestly, and without shame. Let that be your practice. Let that be your power. I'm Dr. Elias Carr. And if no one else has told you today, you are not alone in this. There is still strength in you. And you are still a man worth waking up to himself every single day.